Welcome to another episode of On the Clock. We're here with your hosts, Raul Lascano and George Martinez. You're on the clock.
All right, man, we're back. Joining the show, we got the legend, the man, the myth, the man that pretty much runs the South when it comes to youth football. We have a Miami Garden Ravens legend here. We got Mack coming to the show. What's up, sir? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, man? How y'all fellas doing?
We're good, man. You know, we're making it in these crazy times. We're doing pretty good, man. But first, before we get started with anything, man, how are you and your family doing with the quarantine and COVID? How are you guys handling it?
Good, man. Obviously, I can see all of us respecting social distance. You know, we are a little longer than usual. But,
exactly.
But it's some blessings in it, man. Obviously, I had my son who played on my football team. You know, he never really got opportunity for me to spend one-on-one time with him. So during this time, everything going on just gave us some time to kind of do some work out of me, kind of just focus on him a little bit. So it's been a blessing in that sense. Yeah,
same thing here, Coach. I mean, when this thing hit with the COVID, we basically started doing Zooms not only with our team in high school, because we're both high school coaches over at Jefferson High School, but we started to talk to coaches, college coaches, NFL coaches. We built a big network, and then we started this podcast, and then it got picked up by iHeartRadio. And we're like, oh, well, okay. So there was a blessing amongst this whole, craziness that was happening. You know what I mean? So I agree with you, man. That's good stuff, man.
Yeah, same thing, man. Like I said, it just gave me the opportunity between my son and my daughter, who was one of the top gymnasts her age in the country.
Wow.
So just having the opportunity to kind of just be with them and push them a little bit has been fun for me.
Would it be wrong for me to ask you that we might have to go ahead and interview her for top gymnast? I don't want it just to be about football, basketball, soccer, everything. We want all those kids, man.
That's cool. She got the personality in the family, man. She was, she was one of, she'll be 11 in July. She's a level 7 gymnast.
Wow.
And she's one that has some of the top scores in the country. She did, before the pandemic, she had a floor routine that was like a 9.99, almost perfect score on the floor. Wow. She working at it, man. So she's probably the best athlete out of everybody.
And how old is she again? How old is she?
She's 10. She'll be 11 in July.
Oh, so her birthday's around the corner. When's her birthday?
July 9th. It's her birthday.
Oh, that's what's up, man. Yeah. My son will be 2 in July, and his birthday's July 11th. So 2 days later. Man, that's what's up, man. Now, you've been coaching a long time. You've been doing this for a long time. What got you into coaching from the very beginning?
I mean, obviously I played football. I grew up around the game. And my oldest son, when he wanted to play football, I took him back to Miami Gardens where I grew up at, and I wanted some of my friends who I played with to coach him. And, once I got around it and, I saw the need for it, man. I saw the need. The kids needed that. And I just kind of got involved while he was playing on one of the Pee Wee teams. I went to coach the older group of kids. It gave me an opportunity to not be on top of him and be too hard, one of those parents. So I'll be on the other side of the park just coaching. And from that team, I just kind of built, man. And, I went from just being the coach to running the program and it's just having a lot of success.
Man, and it is having a lot of success. The Miami Garden Ravens, I think, that purple machine is exactly what it is, man. It's a machine. And I could imagine, did you have a lot of struggles building that program up, or was it already established, or do you have other visions for it as well?
No, so really before we were the Miami Gardens Ravens, we were the Miami Gardens Chargers. So we used to be the Chargers, and the city had to do some consolidating of parks, and so we wind up combining with another program and became the Miami Gardens Ravens. And, I was the president and we just took it and ran, man. We just had the opportunity to be fortunate to have a lot of talent come through our programs. A lot of kids went on to major D1 schools. Some of the kids are, had opportunity to play in the pros. So we had a lot of pros come through our program. We got a kid now who's at the Tampa Bay Bucks. Carlton Davis is there as one of our Dalvin Cook played in the program. Auburn's running back now, Sean Shivers, played in the program.
So it's literally a machine. You're just manufacturing great athletes. It's literally a machine that's down there creating great athletes.
Yeah, man. It's been a blessing, man. It really has. Because when I grew up in that neighborhood, at that time we really didn't have a program, so I played for a program that was, outside of where we were at. So just to come and be able to have a program right where I grew up at, and I go back there and just kind of keep it going.
That's awesome.
Now, in all the years you've been doing this, I mean, again, a long, long time, is there any game or two that stands out to you as being one of your favorite games that you coached in or maybe observed as a president and one of your other teams were playing in? What's one of the favorite games that you look back like, man, that's down the books?
As a coach, one of my favorite games, I think as a coach, you like to be tested. And I had some games that honestly that I lost that was a good game just because it was a challenge and it was tough and you had to really coach it all the way through.
Right.
I think just with the Purple Machine, just with that run we had, I think a couple of my favorite games was probably we played the Wilmington Pilots out of California, which was a very, very physical game. And very physical game. They made us, it was more than just, skill on the field. It was really a chess match and us making moves and them making moves. So that was a really good game. Playing against Welcome All Panthers out of Atlanta was another very, very good game to be a part of. But as a spectator, one of my favorite games was probably to watch or witness was my they'll be 13U, but at the time when they were 11 years old. Our team, they won the national championship and they was down maybe like by 28 points at one point in time in the game.
Wow.
And they came back and won it. And so,
really?
So that was and they won the national championship when they were down and everybody thought the game was over. So they fought back and took it to overtime and wound up winning that game. So those are games that stick out lately, I can say, are some of my favorite games.
That's great, man. So over here in Tampa, man, we just started getting back to football, with youth football in high school, and they got a lot of rules and things that we're trying to keep doing as far as what Hillsborough County wants us to do with the distancing and taking temperatures. In youth football, has it gotten back to youth football down there or high school any chance?
No youth football at all here, man. Tampa is far ahead of where we are here. High schools at this point have not even started to really practice yet. So.
Wow.
And so right now, from a youth standpoint, the parks are still closed. We are still in, I guess, phase 1.
Okay.
So I think you got to get to phase 3 before the parks can open. And so we're a long way off from that. So I think some people may, doing some things behind the scenes. But as far as my program, we just been trying to respect what's going on with the CDC and everything and just try to wait it out before we get started. I know most high schools, but I don't think things will really move here with the youth game until the high schools get it figured out. So once the high schools get it figured out, then I think youth will follow.
Do you think they will figure it out? Do you think that it will be football down south? Because
I think it'll be high school football. Youth football, I'm hopeful, but I'm not sure.
Right.
I am a lot more hopeful now that I'm speaking to guys like yourself out of Tampa and other areas that are so far along. But if you're in South Florida, I mean, we still stagnant. A lot of things aren't happening. But I think high school football will figure it out, even if they got to do it like JV games. It's in the middle of the day, nobody really there. I think they may figure that out, but I'm not sure from a youth standpoint. I'm hopeful though.
Yeah, I bet, man, because we at over the park that we coach at, or I coach at over the park. You got to take the temperatures for everybody. I mean, practice starts at 6:30, but everybody's been showing up at 6. It's about 300 kids, and everybody has to be marked with a band. It's a lot, man. It's a lot, but we're hopeful too that we can still play football, even though we're practicing right now. We never know when a spike might happen, and the county says no. So we had heard that down south was being tough and being hit the hardest.
Yeah, it's really tough here, man. So we hope. I think we can use it. Everybody can use that release, just that escape. Football, would be good for us. As a country, obviously we want to stay safe though, but it'd be good if we can get back to it.
Right. Yeah, and like you mentioned earlier, the one positive thing about COVID is it's kind of brought us back to the house.
Right.
Yeah.
Us as coaches, we spend most of our time with our kids and our players and organizations and businesses and companies, and we're back at the house. I mean, I've seen my kids and my wife more, especially now that football season technically for us would have started a little while ago, more in the house than I've ever been right now. So that quality time, you can't really take it back, and you really cherish those kind of moments. So, I mean, the good part is we're back with the families, but hopefully soon we get to open back up and get to do back the things we love to do. I know you have a special young man down in the Miami Garden Ravens, Bullet.
Yeah.
Tell us about him and where is he going to high school and what do you see from him in the future?
A special kid, man. I think the sky's the limit for him. His talent is definitely there, but because his mentality, his work ethic, he never complains. He's with all the accolades and everything he been getting, all the attention he got as such a young kid. He's still a yes sir, no sir type of kid. You can coach him, you can talk to him. He understands. His parents did a really good job with that. Keeping him as a child, he's not going to be like he's on your level. He's going to respect you in that area. So I think that alone will get him far along with his talent. His mentality on the football field is go. He's a violent football player. I think he's going to be a tailback at the next level. I think he's going to be a tailback. He's going to go to Chaminade Madonna High School, and they have a
nice.
good program. They had one of my other backs, Sean Chavez, who now is a running back at Auburn. Came from the program, went to Chaminade, and went on to that. Chaminade has a really good back now. I think he's committed to Miami. And Bullet Davion is the heir apparent to that job after the kid leaves this year. Will be a senior. I think he'll play as a freshman. He's going to play varsity as a freshman. He right now probably about 5'9.5", 5'10", 190. So he has excellent size.
Right.
Excellent size for, he'll grow, he'll get stronger, and, some of the things that he can improve on just will improve with age.
Right.
But he has the vision and the patience, can catch the ball out of the backfield. Top end speed, he has that, enough speed, but he has the things that you need to be a running back. I think speed, a certain level of speed is necessary, but being the fastest guy on the football field as a tailback, I think is overrated. I think power, vision,
I agree,
is more important than just being a flat out burner, and he has all those other things that go along with it. So he should be okay.
Yeah, because I'm looking forward to. That's why I asked about
the tough yards.
Yeah, that's why I asked about high school. I'm really looking forward to seeing him at the next level and following him. And I'm gonna admit to you, Rod, man, I'm admit when you talk about kids going to University of Miami, it brings a smile to my face, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I love all the coaches we talk to college wise, but I'm a Miami guy, man. So when you tell me, oh, he's committed to Miami, I'm sitting here rubbing my hands like, oh, thank you, G. Yes.
I try to do my part, man. I got a lot of kids who came through the program that went to Miami, the Artie Burns, the Tracy Howard, Jermaine Grace.
Wow. Yeah.
All those kids are Ravens. All those kids came through the program. So, we try to, I do my part to make them bleed. Hurricane.
Yeah, do the hometown thing, man. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I wanted to ask you, switching gears here, man. I want to ask you some more of a sports questions as far as what's going around the leagues and what's going on in sports news, man. I wanted to get your opinion on the NBA. NBA is supposed to be coming back. Supposed to be having the games here in Orlando. Supposed to be having a new format. But recently, Kyrie Irving has been making a major push as far as not playing the remainder of the season. What are some of your thoughts on that, do you think?
I have to admit, when it comes to basketball, I am a basketball playoff fan.
Yeah, I am too.
There you go.
I am too.
I admit, I love it. I watch the game, but playoff is when I really focus in on basketball.
Right.
I understand it, though. I understand both sides of it. From a personal health, a personal safety standpoint, I totally understand what Kyrie is talking about, wanting to be safe, wanting to make sure that everything that they have an answer for what's going on now before they start back to playing. So I get that side of it. But on the other hand, I also get that from a country as a sports fan.
Right.
All of us, I think sports is somewhat of a religion here in America. So to have that outlet, to have something to do, to be able to have a basketball game, a playoff season, to think of all of us at home, we had playoffs, man, it'll make it just that much more bearable.
Right. Right, absolutely.
Much more bearable. Football, if it was football season, they wouldn't have to worry about social distance or people in the street.
Yeah.
We'd be on watching football, you know what I mean? So,
right. And that's true. That's a good point to look at it, man. Because we're playoff guys too. The format before Kyrie Irving didn't want to play the season. When I heard about the format being, just a certain amount of games, it started making me think. And George, and we talked about it on our last podcast. We were talking about how that format going forward, you might get a lot more players to continue playing the game and not have to sit so much. Because a lot of times you go to the games, you're like, okay, LeBron's not playing this week or whatever the case is because he wants to rest for those 82 games. But if they shortened it, then you kind of have to play those games and make sure you get into the playoffs. George brought up a good point about records. They probably won't have a record. You won't be able to, get top scorer or whatever the case is because the season's not so long.
I mean, just as a professional, I work with professional athletes. So everything for me just goes back to money. And I just think that from that standpoint, if they shorten some games, they're going to try to shorten pace.
Right.
So that's the biggest thing that probably comes into mind, how they would work that out. But I agree. I think that the basketball that I grew up watching when guys Jordan played every night.
Right.
Every single night.
Right.
So now, I get it, though. Just because he did it does not make it the wise thing to do.
Right.
I mean, the way we tackled and hit back when we were young was totally different now.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So I just think that to be able to preserve your body, you can't question whatever LeBron chooses to do with his body. You can't question because he's been healthy for longer than anybody. So
right. That's true. That's true. He's got to be doing something right. You're right.
Yep.
So with college players now, with football players, DeSantis here in Florida says that the college players will get revenue for likeness. What do you think about that?
I like it. Coming from having experience in playing college football, though, I like it. I think the kids should be paid. I think they should earn money for so much money going around. But I'm cautious again because I know once you introduce money into, it's a lot of other things that's gonna come along with it. College is already cutthroat games. Kids being put in a position where they being forced to transfer. Sometimes kids getting where they kind of showing the door. And if you paying them, that's going to accelerate that process even more. The coach is not going to have a lot of patience. And I also think that if it was my son, so I have a son that's in college now. I got one that'd be a freshman in high school. I would want to have. I'll be all for a system that paid them money, but also put money away for them in the future. In the future,
right?
Yeah, because I can't see. You can't find a good reason to give a 18 to 19-year-old 100, 200 grand, man. That's
right.
I don't know the type of money, but I saw something that said that I think it said Clemson players, if they had did an evaluation that they would make, they would be worth that kind of money. Wow. So if it was my son, I would want to bank some of those dollars. I just played with so many guys that are now, in their 40s and they struggling, just for whatever reason. So I think taking that money and putting that money up for them, giving incentives to get degrees, incentives to do certain things, and also having that money for them in the future when it's needed. Obviously giving them more money than they're getting now in college, but the bulk of that money I would want to see it put up for their future.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a great point because that's something that's not really talked about is how does that kind of work with the structure of it. And I think you bring up a point. You give a young man a salary, right? From that, he gets a portion of it as a salary that kind of gets him by, furnishes his apartment, food, puts money in his pocket, but enough where it's still controlled, where he doesn't go crazy, and then defer the rest when he's done with college. And you make stipulations where, hey, you get all of it, you get your 4-year degree.
Yep.
And you finish school. Then when you're 21, 22 years old, more mature, you've gone through life a little bit more, and then you get the bulk of the funds because you're right. At 18 years old, you give 18 years old 120 G's a year.
You give a 38-year-old man 100 G's. I get 100 G's.
You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. I would have some type of deferred comp program, kind of like baseball with those kids, and let that money grow for them, and they have that money in the future, as opposed to all of that money then. I just don't. It can't make it make sense to me. I think they should earn the money. The money should be theirs, but the time period that they get in their hands on some of that money, because you're going to run into horror stories with families spending up this money. It's certain things that just not going to, it's just more than getting paid. It's how the money's going to be structured. So again, like I said, I'm a finance background. So it's always the money and how the structure of it is always the interesting part to me.
The finance background, is that what you I know you have a company. What's the financial side of it for me?
All right, yeah, so I'm a financial manager for professional athletes. So that's what I do for a living.
Nice.
And so I work with a number of pros, retired and active players now in the NFL and other sports. So, just from an investment standpoint, estate planning standpoint, asset protection, all of those things. So always the structure of how it's going to work from that dollars and cents sign always is interesting to me.
So your company also, I know we were talking before the show and we were just getting warmed up, but your company also puts on a youth camp, correct? Called FVO.
Yep, FVO. So it's called Florida's Very Own, and it was birthed from the standpoint that so many guys, we have so much great talent that comes from the state of Florida. I think our football culture is very different than anywhere else in the country. I think our football culture moves the needle. People follow the trends that we set here in the state of Florida. And we have so many guys that go to the pros from here. And it was a complaint both ways that here locally that guys weren't doing enough, that the community felt like guys wasn't doing enough, but also understood that guys felt like they were being hit up for money too much. So we chose, I made a decision to do a camp. It's all free. So we get the top 6th, 7th, and 8th graders from the state, all around the state of Florida. We had I think we had a few hundred kids last year. It would have been bigger this year. So we had a few hundred kids that came out to the camp. It was all free. They got T-shirts, they got headphones, they got cleats, gloves. A lot of giveaways, gift cards. We gave away a lot of things. And we also had some of the top trainers. So we had Gold Feet. We had Sensational. We had so the premise was to have the top youth middle school kids work out with the top trainers from around the state of Florida, and also invite the top pros to come and not to show up to the camp and to just stand on the sidelines, but to put your shoes on to come out and work out with the kids. So it was more of a workout. So we're the trainers taking the kids through a workout, and we wanted the top pros to come back home. And so was Florida's Very Own. We had our very own trainers, our very own pros, our very own players. Everything was South Florida all the way. I mean, just Florida. I'm sorry, all the way around the board. And it wound up being a great thing, and it was free, mainly because when I grew up, my mom and my parents couldn't afford to pay $300-400 for me to go to a camp.
Right.
So I wanted to give the kids the opportunity to come and showcase their skills without having to worry about a financial financial attached to it. This year we had commitments from pros. We had commitments from some of the top college kids who was going to also come back and work out. So you'll see in the future to be some of the top college kids, some of the top pro kids, along with the top middle school kids, and working with the top trainers. They all be on the field together, which would be a beautiful thing, all going through the ladders together, all going through ball drills together, doing everything together, one-on-one, side by side. So it'll be a beautiful sight, and we'll continue to grow it. I had St. Thomas Aquinas head coach, Roger Harriet, and I had my Miami Central head coach as well. Both of them came out, and while the kids worked out, they had just a conversation with the parents. They did a small seminar with the parents in the stands, and they talked to them about just preparing them for the college experience, a little bit about what they expect from from an academic standpoint, their expectation should be from a football standpoint on the field. The importance of, what the myths and the truths about recruiting, early commitment. So just a whole educational portion of it as well. So it was all, and again, it was all free. And, coming up next year, we'll have it again. I was going to do it at the University of Miami this year.
I'm there.
It was going to be done at the University of Miami. It was going to be done in the indoor facility this year if we didn't have this. So next year, you look for it to be huge. You guys are more than welcome to come out. Like I said, everybody's welcome.
Absolutely.
As long as they want to give back, in the spirit of giving back and all us working together, everybody's welcome to come out and participate for the kids. So.
Absolutely.
And if someone's interested in finding out where to go to sign up, where to get more information about it, give us Instagram, socials. Where can they find you?
So right now you have the IG is F Florida's V Very Own, Florida's Very Own. It's FVO Football, so it's an IG page. They can go on the IG, go check it out. You'll see a lot of the videos on there from the camp. It was a movie, man. It was something special. I got calls from people all the way from Connecticut, from California.
Wow.
I wanted to be a part of this camp. Right now it will be just a Florida thing, and just grow up from there. So it'll be something, should be special. And I want to keep it free. So anybody, I want to keep it free for the kids. I want to get it where we can give and not always take. So I want to keep this camp free.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If we could send anybody down there for sponsor-wise, I'm going to refer them to you, Rod. And I know me and George, we've been coaching youth football for – George was at 15 years. I'm at 12 coaching. And then we made the jump to high school. So, yeah, absolutely. Any way we can help, man, I'm all over that. I'm going to go log on to that FVO Football on IG, and I'm going to make sure anywhere I can contribute, man, I'm going to try to help.
Yeah. Real quick before we move on, last year, so we had of that Max Prep 9th grade All-American team, I think we had 10 of those kids that was at the camp.
Really?
Like 10 of those kids that was at the camp. So we had the best. I mean, some of the Tampa kids, I'm not familiar with. Stacey Gage was there, Rod Gainey, Earl Cup. Some of the special kids that were coming up in youth football out of Tampa, they were all there. Absolutely.
Oh man, that's awesome, man. Well, Rod, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, man. It's been. I know you're a man that's moving and shaking and moving, and when you're the king of youth football down in Miami, I know you got busy things to do, man. But anytime, you're more than welcome to come on. You're more than welcome to represent FVO. You're more than welcome to represent Miami Garden Ravens, man.
Yeah, however we can help, man. Absolutely, we're in for sure.
All right, thank you guys. I appreciate it, man. Anytime. Anything I can do for you guys in the meantime, man, just reach out. Let's all stay safe, bro.
All right, Coach, thanks. Next up on the clock, on the other side of the break, you're not going to want to miss this. We have University of Kentucky co-offensive coordinator and quarterback coach Darin Hinshaw joins the show. You're on the clock.
Hey, everybody, I got big news. This Saturday, June 20th, is Juneteenth, Father's Day's Rise to Success. This is an event hosted by Crystal Morris. It's between 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. this Saturday.
They're going to have a free entry, raffle prizes, food, and drinks.
Don't forget, they're going to have also motivational speakers. We're talking Felicia Bell, Angela Gotson, Devin Johnson, Andrea Jackson, Elvis Piggott, Chauncey Chang Scott, Zaya Moore, and Aaliyah Allen, and so much more.
Event address is Silver Springs Tower, 455-479 East Bird Street in Tampa, Florida. You're not going to want to miss this one. Okay, everybody, welcome back. Next up on the show, I'm very excited to have this gentleman on the show. As an offensive coordinator, can't be more pumped. We have Kentucky's very own co-offensive coordinator,
Darin Hinshaw, joining the show. He's a Florida native, quarterback at UCF. This is exciting for us. We can't wait to have him on here. We've been reaching out to him all week. This is great. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Appreciate you, Coach. And I know you're a very busy man. I know you had meetings before you joined us, so we really, really appreciate it. My first question to you, Coach, is what got you into coaching? I know you had a great career at UCF playing quarterback. What inspired you to become a coach and go on the other side of the pylon, I guess you could say, or the other side?
Well, honestly, I mean, when I got my MBA at UCF, so I got my master's degree, and I was planning on going into business. And Mike Kruzik, who still is in Orlando, he became the head coach at UCF and called me and said, "Hey, I'd really like you to be my GA." And I'm like, I was like, a GA. I'm like, I was making quite a bit of money in the business world, so to go back and be a GA was really, really hard. But then the more I thought about it, I said, you know what? I mean, I'd really love to be a college coach, because I talked to him all the time about it, and went back and GA'd, and then he hired me as the quarterback coach the next year, and we beat Alabama.
Nice.
And then I've been coaching for 22 years now, I think it is. So yeah, it's been a great experience. Moved to a lot of different schools. I went to Middle Tennessee State, was there for 5 years. I was at Georgia Southern for a year. I was at Memphis for 3 years. I was at Tennessee for 3 years. I was at Cincinnati for 3 years, and now this is my 5th year at Kentucky.
Wow. That's awesome. I saw the coaching resume as well, and I know you've been coaching quarterbacks. I'm a wide receiver coach myself over at Jefferson High School, so I saw that you coached wide receivers. Is that another position that you like coaching as well? And I know as a receiver coach, I can use all the knowledge I can get for those receivers.
Oh, yeah.
That's a special group.
Oh, there's no doubt. And wide receivers is like you said, it's a special group. You really have to find out. And every wide receiver that you coach is coached differently. That's the one thing about coaching wide receivers. You got to find out what makes them tick. When I was at Memphis, I happened to coach unbelievable wideouts when I was with Tommy West and Clay Helton. And every one of them I coached different. One, Carlos Singleton, I had to literally cuss him out every time he did something wrong to get him to understand. And then I had Duke Calhoun, who both of those, by the way, still hold records as the best receivers at Memphis. But Duke Calhoun, if I yelled at Duke for 1 second, he'd quit and walk off the field. So I had to
finesse him. Yeah,
I had to finesse Duke every time. So, but Clay Helton was a great mentor. He was a great wide receiver coach, and it was great working with him at Memphis. But yeah, wide receivers are a special group.
Right.
There's no doubt about that.
Right, absolutely.
So in 2019, you're faced with some tough adversity. You lose your quarterbacks early in the season. You moved a receiver over to quarterback. How was that adjustment? What was the game plan coming in? Because it really just completely changes your offense at that point, from being a vertical kind of passing team to now now you got a quarterback receiver that's playing the role. So talk about that transition and how was that for you guys last year?
Well, I tell you, we started the season and Terry Wilson was he was set to really have a great year, and we got Sawyer Smith, which was to have him transfer in, and then Sawyer did a great job against Florida when we played Florida, and unfortunately he just broke his wrist in the fourth quarter, and we had our third string quarterback had tore his ACL, and
wow.
It was a situation where, and he tore his ACL the last scrimmage. So it was a situation where it wasn't not a great situation.
Yeah, that's not ideal for a coach. No, you don't want to be in that spot.
And we on the South Carolina game, we put Lynn in at the last series. He went right down the field and we scored. And then we came back and Coach Stoops, and it was a hard discussion. Like, are we going to move him full time to quarterback? And we decided to do that. And the one thing that we decided was we weren't going to change any schemes as far as the offensive line goes. We're just going to try to just manipulate and find smoke and mirrors to be able to get Lynn the ball. And again, he was our best player on offense as far as skill positions. So we said, hey, if we're putting the ball in his hand every snap, let's see what happit
Right.
It was nerve-wracking as we played Arkansas, but it ended up working out. And then we went through the season, and it ended up being a really, really good year.
It sure did. It worked out real good, and that's what me and George were looking at. We're like, man, that's pure, beautiful coaching right there. Like that's something that you can't.
That's coaching at its greatest.
I have no idea what we do. If we were in this situation, I have no idea what we do. So that's good.
No, it was a difficult situation. There's no doubt about that. Eddie Grand did an unbelievable job. So did John Schlarman, the offensive line coach. Everybody, Vince Morrow. Everybody came together. And I'll say this: we would go into games, and the receivers would know that we're not going to throw the ball more than 5 or 6 times, and they went and blocked their tails off because they wanted to win. And it put us in a situation where we ended up winning the Belk Bowl, and it was funny how we won the Belk Bowl on a pass. So that was
yes, I was actually just about to bring that up. So you get the ball back, and you guys go straight down the field.
Yep. We actually got the ball back with 8.5 minutes.
Really?
We ran
that's right, and you milked it.
19 plays in a row, and finished and scored with 15 seconds. And again, that's credit to Mark Stoops. He does a great job of managing games, and so does Eddie Grand. It was a lot of fun as far as how we were trying to say, look, let's keep the ball as long as we can.
Right.
We got to score a touchdown, and if we could give them no time on the clock, that would be ideal. And we did that in a lot of games. And Mark Stoops is really good at coaching as far as he gets on the headset and he goes, listen, like just run the clock. Bleed the clock. So and sure enough, it worked, and it was a great finish.
You guys, I'm sorry, George. Do you guys practice that in practice? The 8-minute, like trying to the stall ball thing, or
no? I'll say this though, we don't necessarily practice. We practice more 2-minute than we do 4-minute. We don't practice.
So do we. Yeah,
as much because there's a lot of physical activity. You can get guys hurt. So we do practice 2-minute a lot, and we do that against our defense. But 4-minute, we talk about as far as coaches go, and as an offense, we do a great job of going, and John Schlarman does the best, and going, listen, like we go and we have cut-ups made of teams that were in the 4-minute situation, or the last plays of the game, the last plays of the games, that puts you in that situation, and we go, okay, what's the best plays we can run that can put us in a situation where we can run the clock out, and the other issue is that like we were down by 6 points, but we're in a 4-minute. We're literally running the clock out, trying to run the clock out so we don't get
score
back, but we still have to score.
Right.
So it's you know, that's another thing. Just a credit to Mark Stoops going, listen, he goes, just keep getting first downs, run the clock, and we'll figure it out. And it ended up really working out for us.
Amazing. I watched that game, and you know, to think about the fact that as a defense, you know what's coming. They're going to run the ball over and over and over again.
It must have took their soul out of it. That must have took their soul. Yeah, that took the soul out of it.
It doesn't matter what you run. If it's executed, it all works.
Right.
Well, it's also too a credit to the offensive line and to our players.
Absolutely.
They knew what you got to go to war. I mean,
right.
You got to literally put your hand down, and you know that they know, and you got to go to war, and you got to go do your techniques correct. And that's the one thing that happened last year that was phenomenal, is that everybody was bought in. And when everybody buys in and everybody's doing the same thing and everybody believes, and you find ways to win.
Absolutely. Is that one of your greatest memories, favorite memory in college football? I know it has to be one. I know you might have many more coaching after 20 years. I'm sure you have a whole bunch, but is there a few that stick out to your mind that you really, really loved?
Well, the first one would be when I was at UCF and I was in the press box. Gene Chizik was next to me, and we beat Alabama.
Yeah.
At Alabama, that was pretty special, and I'll never forget that as long as I can live. My brother, actually, Tyson Hinshaw, was the receiver. He caught for 190 yards that game.
Nice.
Yeah, he had 3 touchdowns. It was a huge memory. But there's lots of great memories as far as coaching goes. But here at Kentucky, I'll tell you, my first year here, we started off and had Drew Barker, who was a 5-star quarterback, and we had our passing game set. We felt very comfortable with what we were doing offensively, and we played Southern Miss the first game, right. And he throws 5 touchdowns in the first half.
Wow.
So I like. That's what, we were used to at Cincinnati, because we had one of the best offenses in the country at Cincinnati. And then we ended up losing that game, and he ended up hurting his back. And we went through a lot of turmoil. And then Steven Johnson comes in, and the Louisville win, we were 28-point underdogs, and Steven Johnson throws for 375 yards. And we beat, and that's with Lamar Jackson, who's pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Right.
He's doing all right in the NFL.
Right.
And he's killing the NFL right now. So that was a great memory. And there's been great memories, obviously, the Citrus Bowl win, and how we found a way to go to beat a great Penn State team who was, really, really good, and won that game. And we ended up 11th in the country. And then last year, the Belk Bowl win, and finding a way to go win. There's a lot of great memories there. So, it's one of those, I'm just looking forward to more great memories.
Right.
So.
That's right. 2020 year. It should be a great year. So, we talked to a lot of players on the show. We talked to a lot of high school aspiring college athletes, and we talked to them a lot about pregame routine. And I know us as coaches,
I got a
strict.
dumb pregame routine, but I got one too.
But so what is your pregame routine, ready for a game? And does it change based on who the opponent is for you that week, or is it the same no matter what?
So you're just talking like before the game, like when you go out.
Yeah, like do you have a weird superstition, like I got to put my hat on off 3 times before?
No, I do the same thing. I'll say this: I'd stand outside and wait for the first group to go out, because I'm always with the first group,
right?
Who is the quarterbacks and the returners and those guys, and we go out and warm up. So I always put a piece of gum in my mouth as I walk out, and then we go onto the field, and then we start warming up. And it's been the same routine basically everywhere I've been. And we go through, we'll throw the ball, and I'll make them start throwing at 10 yards and 20, 30, 40. Then I want them throwing 50 as far as they can throw it, so they get their arms ready with their pads on and all that stuff.
Right.
And then after that, I just really want them to relax. I don't want it to be stressful. I don't want it to be, and then we'll go into a stretch. First we'll do like a routes, like a routes on air kind of situation. We'll stretch, then we'll go back to a routes on air situation with the receivers. And again, we won't throw many balls. It's not a situation where I want them to get overthrow.
Right.
We'll do 6 skelly snaps. where we'll throw Skelly against the defense, and basically it's very low key. I just want them finding a target, going to a target, and then we'll go to team drills where we'll hand the ball, and all we'll do is catch the ball and hand it off. So I want them making sure that they get their snaps and they hand the ball off to the running backs, and and we'll go against the defense on that, and then basically we're done. I mean, it's when we get out there, the main thing is just relax, just don't stress out and just enjoy the moment. And then let's get back to the locker room. Let's get focused on what our first plays of the game and then I'll pray with them. And then we'll go through our first series, what we're planning on calling. I'll go through the first 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2 to 3, 3rd and 4 to 6, 3rd and 7 to 10, what we're going to call in the red zone if we get in the red zone. And we'll have, and I'll go through that with them very quickly. And then I'm headed to the box. So I'm going up, and we had 4 rain games, and believe me, it was nice.
Oh, that's good.
On the headsets, you guys okay down there?
Oh, exactly. It's like, oh, it looks like it's raining pretty hard, and they're like, yeah, and I don't want to say what they said after that.
Passionately, they said something, right?
Yeah, I'll say this: it was really enjoyable with Lynn. Lynn had some horrible rain games. He had to be the quarterback in, and he did not turn the football over. Nice. I mean, he did an unbelievable job. And the quarterbacks always come back to the phone and talk to me after every series. And he came back to me and talked to me every series, tell me what was going through his mind, what's going on. We would talk through the next series and what we're going to do. And that having that communication is key in being able to be successful.
Right. Absolutely. Coach, I got another question for you, man. So, high school coaches, and they're always inspiring to try to coach in college. What is some advice for an aspiring high school coach that wants to make that jump to college? What would be some of your advice to give to that individual who might want to go graduate assistant, GA, and make that jump?
Well, I'll tell you what, the NCAA is really trimmed the rules now, where you and I'll say this, out of when you get done with college and you want to be a college coach, you've got to go volunteer or find a way to get into a university and start growing with the program. Some of the guys that I've helped go on to other jobs started off as managers. I mean, and they were committed to finding a way. And it's not easy. It's not easy at all for anybody. But and obviously it's who you know. You gotta know people. You gotta know somebody that'll get you in the door. Obviously, GAing's the best way to get in the door. They put restrictions on GAs now, where if you graduate, you only have 8 years after you graduate that you can be a GA. I think that's the rule now, and they keep changing it on us all the time.
Right.
And then there's also now with high school coaches, the rule is that if you recruited anybody from that school or anything like that, you can't come to that college.
Wow.
So that's a new rule that was recent, about 2 years, maybe it's been 3 years now, where if you have any kind of connection to any players or anybody that even's been recruited, you can't go to that college. So
wow. I didn't even know that. Yeah, that's wow.
Yeah, so it's a tough road for high school coaches now to get into college coaching. And I'll say this to young guys, everybody that wants to inspire to be a college coach, you gotta go find a way to get in the university. And a lot of time it's volunteering. Sometimes it's and you look at some of these NFL coaches. I mean, some of these NFL coaches, they started off as volunteers and now they're head coaches. So,
right.
I mean, it's and you also have to give it to God. I mean, and put him first place, and he'll lead you the right direction. But I went and GA'd, and I had my wife, obviously, and I had two young daughters, and I gave up a business, a job I was making quite a bit of money to go be a GA and make $2,453 a semester. Some people said I was crazy. Like, people were like, "What are you doing?" And
right.
Here I am today. So it's, God has
paid off.
Yeah. So, I mean, God has a plan. You have to just go, you got to decide what you want to do and go commit to it and go do it.
Absolutely.
So I got 2 questions for you, Coach. One of them is something that does happen often. So a kid is getting recruited by a university, and there's a coaching change. And as I was preparing for today's meeting, I saw that happen to you when you were being recruited by Florida, and the head coach was at Florida, went somewhere else, and then you ended up going to UCF and having a great career at UCF. How did that change in coaching kind of affect you and kind of your thought process? I mean, it was a long time ago, but how did it affect your thought process, and any advice you give to our high school kids that go through the same situation day in and day out and they kind of left in limbo?
Well, I'll say this is that, you got to look at the history of the school and what happened. And what happened with me, I was being recruited by Galen Hall at Florida. I thought I had a great shot at going there, and I had Florida jackets and all kinds of stuff growing up. So I really wanted to go there. And then Steve Spurrier obviously replaced him and left Duke and went there. And then he signed a different quarterback, and it was actually Terry Dean, who was my rival quarterback. So when I say rival, he was at Barron Collier and I was at Charlotte.
Oh, wow. Down in Naples. Yeah.
Yeah. So we actually played for the district title, and they won in double overtime. So if Terry's listening, it was an absolute war. They won in double overtime. It was a great game. There was 16,000 people at the game.
Wow.
So
that's a championship type of crowd.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was so, and then after that, but anyways, it's a situation too where, again, with coaching and with everything that's going on right now, it's tough with players as far as trying to talk to them about, coaching changes and different things like that, because that's going to happen. That's just the environment now.
Right.
You really got to pick a school that you love and where you want to go. And also there's also been a lot of successful transfer kids that have transferred out that have look at Joe Burrow.
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely right.
State. I mean, he doesn't even play a snap, and he goes to LSU, and I know Joe pretty good. Joe and I, text back and forth through his career. He throws 16 touchdowns at LSU his first year, and they don't even have him as a free agent. I mean, he's a free agent, if anything. And now he ended up being first pick.
Number one overall pick.
Right.
And, I mean, so there's not really a thing that you tell a kid that, like, look, this is what's going to happen, because everyone that gets recruited, everything that happens in your life it's different for every kid. It really is.
It is. Yeah.
It is. And the bottom line is that, the one thing I'll tell kids is that you got to have the work ethic. You got to go put in time. You don't be those guys that are, the front runner guys. Don't be those guys. Be the guys that are the gym rats that work hard. When no one's looking at you, when no one's watching you, what are you doing?
Right.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And that's what we tell our players. So, and then just be the best version of yourself. That's the best you can do. Be the best version of yourself.
Right. Exactly.
That's great, Coach. And the last one I have for you is I coach quarterbacks, and I have an incoming freshman coming in this year. I have some older guys as well. Any advice? And for me, what I found in the couple of years now coaching high school, quarterback is the hardest position to get recruited at, because you get someone fired at that position easily.
Right.
So any advice for quarterbacks coming in as far as things that colleges look for on film? Yeah, you can throw the ball 60 yards, but the footwork, right? So how can a kid that aspires to play college football at the quarterback position prepare themselves from a freshman early on, and then also as he gets later in his career?
Well, again, I'm just going to tell you what I look for. And the number one thing that I look for is motion. Obviously, how fast can he get the ball from point A to point B? I talk about pronation, just the pronation. Again, it's the Nolan Ryan, where the ball is going away from your head, and where you're throwing it, where the ball's not coming over your head.
Right.
And just through process of, recruiting and identifying great quarterbacks over the years, the motion is the biggest thing that you look for. Then after that, footwork, like you said, George, is huge. I mean, your feet have to be phenomenal. But that can be improved. So motion, number one. Second thing is feet. And then third, the third, obviously intangibles. I want kids that are smart, good grades, that want to come in and be leaders, that again, that don't have issues or troubles or anything where it's a problem. because you're the leader of the team.
Right.
And if you're getting in trouble in school, or you're making mistakes, or you're doing things that aren't correct, I mean, I'm done. I'm going on to the next guy. So the final thing is that I can increase, like, athletic ability obviously is huge. I think that, you know, and you really, we dive into the dual threat quarterback versus the pocket guy. And, you know, in our offense, like, we can change what we need to do based on what your skills are. So I'm looking for, okay, if there's a kid that's athletic, that can run like a deer, can do things and everything, and his motion's a little bit shaky, we can work with that. We'll figure out a way, because we know what we can do with this kid because he's an athlete. But if he's a pocket guy, again, his motion's got to be really good. And again, he's got to have all those intangibles, because he's got to be the Tom Brady. He's got to go pick
a stationary guy.
So, you know, answering your question, that's what I look for. And then we basically rank them. I go film them over and over. And unfortunately, in this time of year, right now with the virus and everything that's going around, as far as they won't let us go recruit. This is when I normally go put together a nice library of 22 quarterbacks, 23 quarterbacks, even 24 quarterbacks, and start continuing to build that library of film, so that when I show Mark Stoops, like, this is going to be our quarterback, we have as much film, as much data, as much information, transcripts, everything that possibly, I mean, I'll go talk to the lunch lady, whatever we got to do to find out about this kid. This is going to be our quarterback, because we're normally just take one a year. And I'll say this to quarterbacks: listen, don't think that we don't talk to lunch ladies, or we don't talk to the secretary, and we don't ask them, what do you think about this kid? Like, is he a good kid? Is he a good person? And you know, that, and I'll say this too, the NFL does the exact same thing. They're not going to invest $20 million into a kid that's not doing things right, even when you're in college, and again, that's a situation where, you know, I talk about the intangibles. Again, continue to do the right thing and continue to be the right person that you are.
And then, how does social media play a role into it? Because a lot of kids now on social media,
that thing's a monster.
Kids try to hide things with having spam accounts and these accounts that they think people can't get in front of. And how big of a role has that played in college recruiting now as we continue to evolve it?
Well, it's huge. As far as just kids want to be on Twitter. They want to be on all the different, you know, and again, I'm not going to go into it as much as that. I'll say this: we educate our players to death as far as, you know, saying the right things on Twitter. And again, we call it building your brand. Like, who are you? And
it's your resume.
It's your resume, and it's huge. And you know, Benny Snell is a great example of a kid that came in, and he was our running back. He's with the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, but I mean, he had maybe 5,000 followers when he came in, and then next thing you know, he has 95,000 followers because he built
immediately.
Immediately. So, you know, and Snellia and everything that he built a brand that was, you know, and that I also have to give credit to our SID, our sports information director, in our department. They do a great job of branding our kids. And it's the same thing for high school kids. What is your brand? What do you want to be known as? When you say the word Disney, what pops in your mind? You know, in when they say your name, what do people say about you? So again, it's one of those situations where we continue to try to build brands with social media. And again, in recruiting, it's huge too, as far as getting offers and then commitments, and then they put it on Twitter or they put it on whatever social media that they put it on. But at the end of the day, you're still building a relationship like you always have for 20 years. You got to build that relationship with the family and the parents and continue to work on that. That's the biggest thing.
I appreciate that, Coach. Coach, I know we took up a lot of your time. I apologize. I know you're a busy man. We're pretty much wrapped up, Coach, but I just want to tell you, thank you so much. Good luck to you in Kentucky in the 2020 season. I know me and George, we're going to be watching closely, and if you ever want to come back on, Coach, we're just two guys eating Hot Pockets and drinking beers, and we're okay here, Coach. You're more than welcome to come join us and talk with us anytime you want, okay, Coach?
Yeah, and I hope to see you guys at Jefferson. I recruit Tampa, so I recruit that whole area. So I'll come by and see you guys.
Absolutely. And
sure.
me and George, we know a lot of good Cuban spots here in Tampa. We'll go get you some Cuban food. We're good to go, Coach.
Oh, that's awesome, guys. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you,
Appreciate it,
Coach. You
Darin.
have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All righty. Man, that's all the time we got today. Another great show here on The Clock. I want to say thank you to the guests that came onto the show, Rod Mack, Darin Hinshaw. That was great, man. I'm super excited about what we just did, man. That was awesome. George, what do you think, man? How do you feel about it?
I loved it. Getting to talk to Coach Hinshaw there from Kentucky as an offensive coordinator, I was pumped. Learned a lot of things from him. Also, listening to Rod Mack and some of the things he talked about and what's going on in Miami was really interesting as well. If you guys want to listen to future episodes, go ahead and hit subscribe. You can also find us on iTunes, Spotify, and iHeartRadio by simply searching On The Clock. You can also visit our website by going to fanstreamsports.com. Until next time, you're on the clock.